get this to actually, I'm going to move this around so that I can get into the full screen. See here if I can do this.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so let's see if I do this. Are the controls? Let's see. Why are, if I press my up button or my down button, it doesn't seem to be moving. Do I have to do it on the,
You have to click on the mouse.
let me try, well. Oh, okay. Let me see if that goes, oh, I can click forward. Can I click backward? This is very strange because normally, oh, there we go. Okay, I think it just took a little while to load. Can you see it completely on your screen, or is it a problem?
Yes. No problem. I can.
Okay. So obviously, Northeastern Illinois University is in Chicago. This picture was taken by a member of my staff, so we use it.
Okay.
This is me. Right now I'm in the role of directing the Office of International Programs, but for 13 years I chaired a Department of Justice Studies in this school, and also my son is a graduate of this school. So I can speak both as a faculty member, as in my office, and as a parent. So hopefully that can answer questions that maybe normally wouldn't be answered by somebody in my role, right?
Yes.
So we're located in Chicago, and because some people don't know where we're located, Chicago's right on Lake Michigan, which is one of the Great Lakes.
Yes.
And so, like I said, we're a public university founded in 1867. Even though we're in Chicago, which is the third largest city in the United States, we're in a quiet, safe residential neighborhood. We're just a train ride to downtown. We're listed as the safest university in Illinois, and we're also ranked #1 for social mobility. What that means is that many of our students are first generation to go to the university. So if we look at their parents' income and then we look at their income in their careers, the amount is a huge jump. So some years we're ranked as the same amount of jump as students that go to, say, MIT. Okay, they pay much more at the beginning and they make much more at the end of their lives, but if you can't afford to get into the school at the beginning, you're stuck anyway, right? So the idea is that it's a very good investment for students. We're the most diverse campus in the Midwest ethnically. We have over 100 different nationalities represented, not only in our student body, but a third of our faculty is foreign born as well. So many of the faculty have been international students and they understand the students very well. And we are a teaching university as opposed to a research one, which means faculty take this job because they really want to work with students. And they used our classes are very small. We have a first year experience class for students to get them adjusted to the school, which provides content, but also things like some study skills and those kinds of things. All of the students run through that so that by the end of their first semester, they know the campus very well and they know kind of the rules of being a student at a university. Students, even undergraduate students, get many research opportunities. And I can speak about this personally because my son did a double major in computer science and physics, and he got 3 different research opportunities as an undergraduate with 3 different professors. So I can tell you if students interested in research, that really is available to them. Like I said, we have about 100 countries represented. We have a huge alumni network, very well established in the Chicago area, but elsewhere as well. And that's good for helping students get internships as well as OPT placements. And when the students are on campus, we provide them with a lot of support. And this is because we know that a lot of our students are first generation to college. So we have special support programs for them. We have tutoring. We have writing center. If a student has disabilities, we have a disability center. And many then things that are more interesting, like my office runs study tours and those kinds of things. So some of it is to help students who are not quite prepared for college, but some of it is like the honors program or research projects or my program, which are kind of extras that we add on co-curricularly to make the curriculum really punch home. Like I said, we are about 7,400 students, but we have very small classes, which is unusual for a public university in the United States. This is kind of what you pay for extra at an expensive private school in the United States, because half of our classes are under 20 students, and our ratio of faculty to students is 15:1. And furthermore, we don't use teaching assistants. So all of the faculty are actually faculty who have their degrees and those kinds of things. We have over 40 partner international universities, and we have various annual research and business conferences. There's an annual student research conference where they learn how to present in a formal environment, and the professors act as their judges. We take our students to many different research competitions in the state of Illinois. They often win first prize, and we take them around the nation as well. And the business conference, we actually run an international business conference where the students themselves, the best students, are selected to actually run the conference. So from beginning to end, they must learn how to do everything. So they leave with a set of skills that's very nice. This is a short video about the school.
Okay.
This is the campus, the main campus.
Okay.
Administration building. Library. Science building.
So you have sciences as well as economics?
Yes, we have liberal arts, the sciences, education, and business. We actually started as a normal school, so our education school is the oldest part of the university and still very highly regarded in the state of Illinois. I can talk about that servant leader approach if you want me to as well.
Yeah, and what about the requirements? Like, do you require SAT or it's optional, as nowadays most of the universities are going SAT optional?
For right now, for the coming fall, we're optional. Both at the undergraduate and graduate level, no exams are required. I think that's going to become permanent, but right now we're promising it for the fall 2020 admissions.
Are the admissions still open for the coming session, 2020? Okay.
Yes. We're normally our application deadline is June 15th. We're not sure what's going to happen yet in the fall. More and more of the programs have put classes online. We don't know if we're going 100% online for the fall just because we don't know about what's going to happen with the pandemic. But we do know that visas aren't being issued for India right now, and they won't be issued probably until beginning in October. So for students who want to start in the fall, the option is probably starting online. If students are starting online, we can extend the deadline up through the middle of July, which is our normal domestic deadline. So July 15th, because we know it's difficult right now for students to get their certifications and their documents together. So we're trying to do that. I'm hoping to know very soon what will happen with what percentage of the classes are going to be online, if it's going to be 100% or 50%, and also whether we might be giving some kind of a discount for the online. Certainly, the only fee that students would pay would be an online learning fee. So the parking fee, the library fee, the gymnasium fee, all those would be for sure waived. I don't know what the tuition rate will be, if it will be in-state or out-state. We're still in the process of looking into the legal implications of that.
Because so, in India also, our results will be delayed, the CBSE ones, as some exams are not over. The exams are going to take place in July.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. around the 15th of July. And then after, obviously, there'll be some time taken for the preparation of the results and correction and so on.
Okay.
So the results will be due.
One of the things students could do would be to apply for the fall. And if their application couldn't be completed, they could fill out a deferral form. And then they would not have to pay another application fee, which is only $30. So we keep it very low. But the privilege of not having to show a SAT exam or something like that would be retained. And they could then come either in spring, summer, or fall of 2021, just by filling that form. So that's another kind of accommodation we're trying to make because of the pandemic.
Are you otherwise on Common App?
We are not on the Common App, no. We're in the process of switching our CRM and our computer system. We have to build a link from there to the Common App. And because we're in the process of switching that system, it doesn't really make sense to pay to build the link and then have to dismantle it and rebuild it again. So that decision is probably a year, maybe 2 years out. But I've been lobbying for the Common App because I know how important it is, but we haven't gotten there yet. You can see we're a very diverse campus. I mentioned we're #1 in safety in Illinois. Now we can skip this or not, but I wanted to just give you a sense of kind of what we think as a university. And I like this quote, our lives are more than our work, and our work is more than our jobs, because we really try to educate the whole person, not just for their career, but certainly for their career, but also for the rest of their lives. And I'll give you an example. When I ran the Justice Studies department, one of my faculty used to teach a class in early childhood development. And I used to have to watch her because I was her boss. And I was always amazed what I learned in that class. And had I known it when I was beginning as a new parent, I would have maybe changed the way I parented from learning in that class. So we tried to provide a really well-rounded education to the students. So we develop higher order thinking skills. We develop critical thinking, how to learn collaboratively, a sense of vision, like how can you imagine what's going to happen next and how to give back to your community. We have many projects in our local community. Much effort on being a good writer and a good verbal presenter, which is a foundation that will give the students confidence. And we also teach them how to keep learning. So the idea of doing research, so you know how to use a library, you know how to evaluate a web page, those kinds of things. And we know this is what employers are wanting. They want well-rounded candidates that can work in a team as well as know their actual tasks for their job. And they want students with a broad base of knowledge. And they want students who can think critically and effectively communicate. So I said we had a great faculty. We use a variety of different teaching methods because we know different students learn differently. I can talk about that in more detail if you would like. We use Chicago as our laboratory for internships, for OPT placements, for research projects. We're involved in a very large and important cancer study right now called Chicago Check, which is involved with the two of the other major research universities in the city. And then there's many things to do as well. Many student clubs. We encourage students to get involved in the clubs, which have different foci, everything from cultural to their subject area to faith-based sports, whatever. And we think this is good for developing friendships, for developing their leadership skills, and to give back to the community. And of course, it's important to build their resumes as well. Like I said, we have about 40 different university partnerships all over the world. My office also helps faculty to develop short-term study programs. These are a week or two, and these are just ones that have happened in the last 2 years. So we go to a variety of different places, and students go with a small group, maybe 10 or 12 students and one faculty member, and they spend a week or two in this country. We have a huge library, and one of the things to know is that the Illinois public universities are connected in a system called iShare, which means every single volume in every single library that's public in the state of Illinois is available to the student. So they just fill in a request form. You can get a book, you can get an article, you can get a video, whatever it is. It's really a nice system. We have a beautiful new residence hall called The Nest. This is in the apartment. The apartments are 4 boys or 4 girls will stay in one apartment. The more expensive option is they each get a private bedroom. The cheaper option is to share a bedroom. And then there's 2 toilets. There's this common living area. This is the lobby of the building. Another picture of the lobby of the building. The Pedroso Center is where we do our orientation. And this center was set up to make a place for all students to feel welcome. So different groups of students will have their activities there, the Latino students or the Muslim students or the women's club or something like that. I've been showing up till now the main campus, but we do have several other locations. This is the brand new building, brand new campus, which is in the junction between the Polish neighborhood and the Latino neighborhood in Chicago. We do a lot of outreach in the Latino neighborhood because we're an HSI, an Hispanic serving institution. So we have a lot of Latino students. But we're right near Divan, which is referred to affectionately as Divani, which is a street where all of the Indian restaurants, shops, everything from clothing stores to restaurants to food stores, you can get everything you could possibly want. And I sometimes tease the students that you know, if they fall in love and get married, they can even get their wedding jewelry and saris right here, right next to the university. So we have a lot, these are some of the things that we have in addition to what's going on in the classrooms. These are all the kind of annual conferences and different kinds of things that we do that are extra that the university run. And this is because many of our teachers are involved in research or in community outreach. The College of Arts and Sciences is the largest of the campuses. It runs our general education curriculum. It has most of our majors and minors. It has the sciences, the arts, and the social sciences. And that, by the way, on the right is a picture of my son. The oldest part of the university is the College of Education. Like I said, we were started as a teaching school to basically provide teachers to the state of Illinois at the very early part of the formation of the state. That's why we were started. And our college, our business college is AACSB accredited, which only about 5% of business schools in the world have achieved. And quite honestly, our price point for an AACSB accredited college is very, very reasonable. There are other ones in the city, but their tuition rates would be much higher than ours. So this is a little bit more about that and why it's useful. Businesses recognize this. And it's very, very international. The faculty is really drawn from all over the world. It's pretty amazing. And the dean of the college has set up a board of business leaders in Chicago, and they kind of direct new ideas at the college and ask for different courses. Whatever's happening in business, we learn about it very quickly because we have this board. These are the undergraduate and graduate degrees in the College of Business. And these are some of the things that our alumni say.
Okay.
We have a business incubator for people who want to start their own businesses, which is quite nice. So here we get down to the cost issue. This is so let me explain a little bit about that first number. For undergraduates, I've listed 2 numbers, 22,000. This would be the tuition and fee cost. Underneath that number is 27,000. The reason I list both these numbers is because you must be a full-time student if you're an international student. The government is flexible about how that is defined. So for our university, you either take 4 classes or 5 classes to be considered a full-time student. The price of 22,000 is for if you take 4 classes. The 27,000 is if you take 5 classes per semester. Now, to graduate in 4 years, you do need to take 5 classes a semester, or you can take 4 classes and 4 classes and 2 over the summer. We list the rate at 22,000 because that is the amount you can fill out legally on the financial form to present to get your I-20, which you need to get your visa. We don't put the higher rate, the 27,000 rate, because why should a family have to show the government more money? So you must show the student can support themselves for 1 year, and it'll be a 4-year program. You'll notice underneath the graduate fee, there's also 2 different numbers listed, 17,000 and 18,000. The reason for that is that once a student declares a major at either the undergraduate level or the graduate level in the College of Business, because of the AACSB accreditation, there's a 10% surcharge. So you can see that for the graduate students, I list it. I don't list it for the undergraduates because they don't need to start at that rate. They can switch to that college after they've done their general education credits. Do you have any questions about that?
Yeah, because like you're saying, it is 17 and 18 for the graduate and undergraduate 22. So that means if they are not doing one course, so how many courses does one child do compulsorily? Is it just 4 courses, as you said, or 5? The child is taking 5 courses, so 27 is the fee
So
for undergrad.
A typical class is 3 credits.
Okay.
To graduate from the university, you must take 120 credits. So if you take 15 credits or 5 classes per semester, 5 times 3, you get 15. You do 15 for fall, 15 for spring, that gets you to 30. 30 times 4 is 120. That's how you get the undergraduate degree. The graduate degrees are 3 classes each semester. So 9 credits, and that is 2 years, is the typical master's program.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And another thing that you've written over there is private and public.
Right.
42.
Yes, this is the average cost at a private university right now in the United States.
Okay.
And then the average at the far right is the average public university costs across the United States. You can see we're competitive with other public universities. Now, those would be some that would be in rural areas. We're in Chicago, so our costs are always going to be a little bit higher because it's cost of living here is a little bit more expensive. But we compare even favorably when you can take into an average of all the universities across the country at a public university.
Okay.
We have 48 undergraduate majors. These are some of the ones that I've listed because these are ones that I see international students asking about a lot. One of the things that's been quite surprising is our exercise science program is getting a lot of attention from international students right now. I think because you're starting to see like middle classes grow around the world and people getting more interested in exercise. So that seems to be an area where it's easy to still establish a business if you're new in the field. I can talk about any of these if you're interested.
My children would be like, you are saying they're pre-med. So pre-med meaning that the child is studying here for 3 years or 4 years for undergrad. And what does he choose there then? Biology. And then he goes in for medicine.
Yeah. So in the United States, you do an undergraduate bachelor's degree. Then you take the MCAT exam, which is the entrance exam to medical school, and then you go to medical school. Now, it's very hard to get into a U.S. medical school if you have not done your undergraduate training in the United States. That's just a fact. So what most undergraduates who want to go into medical school do is they take a biology major and a chemistry minor, and then some additional physics courses, because they have to, it's both a question of do you have the knowledge to begin the medical school program, and also can you score very high on the MCAT exam. And the MCAT exam really rewards students who know their biology, their chemistry, and a little bit of physics and math. Now, in addition, there's thousands of students who are going to score very high on the MCAT exam. So in addition to scoring very high on the examination and having, really good grades, it's important to have something extra. For some students, that is that they've presented at research conferences. For other students, it's that they've donated their time in the community. For others, they've been a campus leader. And we have a pre-med advisor who begins to work with the students as soon as they arrive at an EIU, and really tailors to talk to that student about, okay, yes, your studies are very, very important, but medical schools aren't just looking for the brightest students. They want to look for the brightest students who are also something extra. So the question is, for that individual student, what does that something extra really entail? And that's going to be very individualized. And you can, it doesn't really matter what that something extra is, but having that something extra can really make a lot of difference. And I'll give you an example. There's a Brazilian student who we're celebrating right now. She just graduated and she's been given a full ride scholarship to Yale in their biomedical research program. And the reason she did that, she was a straight A student, but she also, we have a big STEM center for science, technology, engineering and math. We don't have engineering, but our STEM center has a huge grant and we're able to take our students to different conferences around the country. So she did, not only did she do individual research, she also was able to present that at national conferences. So, you know, she was selected by Yale. So we're quite happy with her. And we see that, you know, not all of our students go on to PhD programs or medical school, but the ones who are motivated and are bright, we can get them into leading institutions around the country for that final degree. And we do it at a much lower cost than many of the privates do. Let's see here. Oops, I have to, let's see if I can go forward. Okay, so this is the application requirements. So for the fall, no ACT or SAT, a minimum GPA of 2.5, which is not on a 4-point scale. That's not that high, and that's part of the reason because public universities are set up for access. So unlike, say, a school like Harvard, which isn't trying to attract, you know, students from across everywhere, we are saying many students can meet the minimum standard, and then it's up to them to excel after that. We do require these subjects to be taken. So if a student didn't get them in their secondary school, we might give them a conditional admission to say, okay, we think you're a good student, a good fit for the university, but you need to take an additional science class or something like that. If the student did their last degree in an English medium environment, we can waive the exam, the English language exam for them. And you don't need to show us your financial information until after you've been accepted. We do that for privacy reasons and also because we know some students will be able to get loans if they have a letter of acceptance. And I don't know if you'd be interested in this. In the United States, in addition to taking your major subjects, which if you have 120 credits, most majors are in the area of around 40 credits. And a minor would be in the vicinity of about 20 credits. So that takes half of your total number of credits. About another 40 credits are the general education curriculum. So we make sure that students can write well, that they have quantitative reasoning skills. For the science students, you'll see, for the pre-med students, you'd see that they already have to take three science classes. So not a problem. Their general education curriculum would be lower because they'd be taking that as part of their major. Some social science, some humanities, and some art. So, and then we have something called LE courses, which are experiential courses, and I can talk about that if you'd like. So this is what we're giving them in addition to just the expertise in their field. And the goals of this are really, they mirror what we were talking about at the very beginning in terms of the kinds of skills we want all of our students to graduate with, and that's because we know that's what employers want. So critical thinking, collaborative learning, effective communication, etc. These are some of our most popular graduate programs for international students. And these are the graduate admission criteria. The only program which requires a graduate exam is our College of Business, and that's because of the AACSB accreditation, so a GRE or GMAT, but we're waiving that for the fall entrance because of the pandemic. The GPA entrance exam is, or grade point average is a bit higher. Same thing with the language exams, 2 letters of recommendation and a personal statement.
From the school, you don't require the transcript or the predicted grades?
What we ask both at the undergraduate and graduate level is we do not want the transcript directly. We want the student to send it to an evaluation company. So ECE or WES or any member of NACE, which is the National Association of Credit Evaluators, I think is the name. I can send you that link. I typically recommend WES, just because their philosophy of transcript evaluation is very similar to ours. And I know somebody at the company, so if there's a problem, I just call her up and I'm like, can you find what's happening with the students thing? But we'll accept any of them. And the university doesn't have a policy of recommending one over the other. Do you want me to talk about this whole question of COVID?
As you just said in the beginning that you're going in for online classes, still any full-fledged plan comes from the government side, isn't it?
We think, yes. I've been nagging my top administration to give me a definitive answer, and I'm hoping it'll be out in the next 2 weeks.
Actually, the entire world is hoping for something. Even we are stuck up what to do, whether college will open in July or not, whether school will open or not. So that is we're all living in uncertain times at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of brings us all together, you know. It's also given an opportunity to talk to people all over the world. It's been fascinating. What I will say about Illinois is, okay, the United States is huge, just like India, and we're a federal system, just like India, but we're even more of a federal system because if a power is not given to the central government, it remains with the states. So the states have a lot of power, which means the governors have a lot of power. Now, I'm of the opinion that the federal government has not been as proactive or directive as it should have been, but that means that some state governors have really taken on the problem and others have not. We're very lucky here in Illinois that our governor was very proactive. We are the second state behind California to shelter in place. That was on March 20th. Already our school had closed down on March 13th in terms of making us work from home from March 13th, and we put all of our classes online from March 13th. And so Chicago is the third largest city, which means we do have high numbers just because we have concentrations of people, but we've never run out of PPE, we've never run out of ventilators, we've never run out of hospital beds. And that really, I think, is a credit to our public health system in Illinois and to our governor, who's been very proactive. So, you know, it is what it is in terms of the national numbers, but I would say I feel very lucky to be in a state where I have really high confidence in what's happening in our state government. Yeah, so we're going to be teaching some way or the other in the fall, online or in the classroom. And we're allowing the international students who are already in the US are continuing with their online classes. I'm hoping we can arrange for all of our international students from outside the country right now to be online for the fall. And like I said, no ACT or SAT. If you need an English language exam, we're accepting Duolingo because you could take that online.
But Duolingo, will TOEFL or IELTS be accepted?
Yes, and when we started accepting Duolingo, it was because neither TOEFL or IELTS had gotten a secure testing system online. I believe both of them have now, so those are the tests we normally accept. Plus PTE. We've added Duolingo just for the fall.
Okay.
And the US government is allowing us to send the I-20 forms electronically, so students can schedule their visa appointments. Then they will need to bring in an actual real paper I-20 at the point of the interview. But we know that there's going to be a rush to get the interviews. One piece of advice I've heard is, if at all possible, schedule your visa interview for first thing in the morning. Because the visa officers, you know, think about talking the same conversation 100 times in a day. By the end of the day, you're not in a very good mood. You're tired. You just want to be home. You don't want to make another decision. So seriously, people who have been consular officers say always take a morning appointment.
Oh, nice tip.
Yeah. Let's see. let me, okay, so then, yeah, we will do, if we have to, we'll do an online orientation if we have to. That's not a problem. And if you're doing it online, we have some D2L, Desire to Learn is our learning management system. All of our online courses are run through that. It has a lot of flexibility and there are lots of help videos. We also have online tutoring and we have online study groups, which we've already been working with this spring. So we've perfected all those. We have a lot of teachers who've been teaching online for a decade. Like I trained myself, I went through a training course over 10 years ago, and many faculty did. But for the other ones who've not gone through online training, we're getting them trained this summer. So we won't have teachers who are kind of doing this for the first time who don't know what they're doing. We'll have trained teachers for the online, which makes a difference. I know the first time I taught online, I was not so good. It's a trick, but it actually makes you a better teacher, I think. The other thing to know is that the Nest, our housing residence hall, we did not close our residence hall. Some of even the leading universities closed them and the students were scrambling. International students had nowhere to go. We kept ours open, so no students were displaced. If a student was concerned that they had gotten infected, we had a self-quarantine apartment, so they could leave their roommates and go and stay there for 2 weeks until they were sure they were not sick. And while they were there, we delivered food to them and our nurses stopped by every day to see them, and online counseling was allowed or was available as well. So we really tried to make sure that the environment was very safe for both a student who was worried and for their roommates as well. Up to date, we've only had 2 students, 2 roommates that had to self-quarantine. And they did so, and they're fine now. So we only know of 1 alumni who has actually died from the university out of those 83,000 alumni. That's the only case we're really sorrowful about, and that person was not actually on the campus. And then our students are trying to give back to the community. This is one of the ways we're doing it.